You feel it before you can explain it. That tightening in your chest, that quiet panic that whispers the truth you try to avoid. You are not where you thought you would be by now. Other people are already running, and you are still standing at the starting line, watching time move without you. If you're not careful, that feeling becomes a story you begin to believe. The world will offer soft lies to soothe you. Everyone moves at their own pace. You still have time. But beneath the noise, you know the harder truth. The one who starts late has to run twice as fast. Your hours are no longer neutral. You either use them or lose them. You will not get today again. This is not a warning. This is a wake-up call. The moment you finally admit, I am behind, something inside you sharpens. Time stops feeling infinite. Your life stops drifting. Honesty becomes fuel. Feeling behind is not failure. It is your inner compass, screaming that you were built for more than routines, distractions, and the quiet sleepwalk you've called a life. Science shows the brain rewires fastest under pressure. And when you decide drifting is no longer acceptable, your mind begins to build new circuits, from distraction to discipline, from hesitation to action. But knowing you're behind means nothing if it doesn't change how you move. This audiobook will not comfort you with illusions. It will give you a path of acceleration. You will outwork the average, outfocus the comfortable, remove what slows you down. Say yes to what forces you to grow. Learn fast. Act faster. You may have wasted years, but the moment you choose a higher standard, the story changes. The gap in front of you is not a verdict. It is an invitation. If you're ready to rise above the noise, like the video, it tells YouTube you're choosing awareness over autopilot. Subscribe now, and don't miss the next chapter in your evolution. And remember, the deepest transformation belongs to those who stay until the very end. Chapter 1. Face the truth without excuses. You already know when you're behind. You don't need anyone to announce it or point it out. You feel it the moment you wake up. A subtle heaviness, a quiet awareness that your life is not matching your intention. You feel it when you compare what you wanted with what you've actually done. You feel it in the way time keeps passing, yet the results you hoped for have not arrived. This awareness isn't something external. It surfaces from within you, because your inner intelligence always knows when you're out of alignment. The first step toward acceleration is the most uncomfortable one. Admitting the truth without excuses. Not softening it, not blaming circumstances, not hiding behind "I'll change soon." The more you avoid this truth, the more power you give to everything outside you. Luck, timing, distractions, other people's opinions. Avoidance is a form of surrender. Honesty is a form of reclaiming power. When you look yourself in the mirror and finally say, I am behind, and I am responsible for changing it, something fundamental shifts. Your mind stops drifting. Your energy stops scattering. You pull your power back from all the places you gave it away. Responsibility is not a burden. It is the doorway back into control. Why does this matter so much? Because if you lie to yourself about where you are, you will lie to yourself about how fast and how hard you need to move. If you pretend you're further along than you really are, you will work at a pace meant for someone who is comfortable, not someone who is chasing time. And when you start late, you no longer have the luxury of comfort. You must make up for lost time with intention, honesty, and urgency. There is no growth without confronting the gap between your potential and your reality. Think of your life as a map. If you input the wrong current location, every direction after that will be wrong. If you refuse to face the truth, you drift. If you face it directly, you realign. And alignment is the only starting point for meaningful acceleration. The science is clear. The brain cannot change what it refuses to acknowledge. Awareness activates the neural circuits responsible for adaptation. The moment you name the truth, your brain begins reorganizing itself around it. Spiritual teachings echo the same idea. Light dissolves distortion. When you bring truth into your life without resistance, you dissolve the fog that has been slowing your movement. Facing the truth also means admitting how you got here. Maybe you avoided certain actions. Maybe you underestimated how much effort was needed. Maybe fear was silently making decisions for you. It doesn't matter what the reason is. What matters is that you see it now with clarity instead of shame. Clarity gives you choice. Shame traps you. You do not have to stay in the patterns that once held you back. You only have to admit they exist. This process will feel uncomfortable at first. When you stand face to face with the time you've wasted, there will be a sting, a sense of loss, a sense of, I should have been further by now. But pain is not the enemy. Pain is information. It tells you what you no longer want to repeat. It sharpens you. It fuels you. It reminds you that drifting is no longer an option. When you fully accept that you are behind, your relationship with effort changes. You stop seeking easy paths and start seeking effective ones. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. You stop negotiating with your excuses and start negotiating with your future. The person who believes they are ahead can afford occasional laziness. The person who admits they are behind cannot. And that difference becomes your advantage. Most people are moving at the wrong pace because they believe they have time. You know you don't, and that knowledge becomes acceleration. No one will come rescue you. No one will push you out of bed in the morning. No one will shake you awake and remind you that your life is passing. This responsibility belongs to you alone. But this is also the gift, because when responsibility belongs to you, so does the power to change everything. The most dangerous lie is, I'll fix it later. Later is the place where potential dies. Later is the slowest poison you'll ever swallow. Every day you postpone the truth, the gap widens. Every day you postpone action, your confidence shrinks. But the moment you face the truth head-on, you break the spell. You step out of illusion and into movement. Honesty lifts the weight of pretending. Pretending drains energy. Truth frees it. When you stop acting like you're fine and start acting like you're ready, the universe responds in ways you couldn't access before. Energy flows toward clarity. Opportunities appear for those who are in motion, not for those who are avoiding themselves. So ask yourself, right now, are you where you want to be? If the answer is no, then this is your turning point. Not next week. Not once conditions improve. Now, the moment you say, I am behind, and I refuse to stay behind, you trigger a level of internal power that has been waiting for honesty to activate it. You are behind, but you are not stuck. You are behind, but you are not lost. You are behind, but you are capable of catching up faster than you ever imagined, once truth becomes your foundation. This is where acceleration begins. Chapter 2. Claim your hours. Start today, not tomorrow. There comes a moment when you can no longer afford to treat time casually, not because someone told you to value it, but because you finally see how much of it you've already wasted. You look back at the days that slipped through your fingers, the mornings you drifted through, the hours you traded for small comforts that changed nothing, and you realize the truth. Time is not limitless. Time is not patient. Time does not pause for your hesitation. If you are behind, you do not get tomorrow. You get today. You get this hour. Every minute from this point forward must carry intention, because every intention becomes momentum. The longer you delay, the more distance you give away. The more hours you waste, the more effort you will need later. Time expands for those who use it and collapses for those who ignore it. Most people never notice how quickly their hours disappear because they believe time is something they have. But time is not something you have. Time is something you spend. Every hour is a transaction. You trade it for something, whether you choose consciously or not. And the person who starts late must treat every hour like a higher currency. You cannot invest lightly because you are not playing from ahead. You are climbing from behind. Think about how easily an hour disappears. A quick scroll, a short distraction, a moment of avoidance that quietly stretches into half a day. Nothing dramatic, nothing catastrophic, just a slow draining of life force. The danger is not in the 1 hour you lose. It's in the pattern that forms when you believe losing that hour doesn't matter. But it does. Because each wasted hour widens the gap, and each intentional one closes it. You must decide, truly decide, that you will not waste another hour. Not someday. Not when you feel ready. Now. Because readiness is a myth created to justify delay. No one feels ready for the moment their life changes. Readiness appears after you begin, not before. Action creates clarity. Waiting creates confusion. From this moment forward, time is no longer a passive backdrop to your life. It becomes a force you shape, a force you direct. When you stop drifting and start choosing how your hours are used, you shift from being carried by life to steering it. You move from reaction to intention. Science shows that when you commit to a task with deep focus, your brain enters a state where time perception changes. Minutes stretch, distractions fade, efficiency rises. This is not magic. This is biology aligning with intention. The universe responds the same way. When your energy is decisive, opportunities align, support appears, synchronicities emerge. Time bends for the person who moves with clarity. But clarity requires boundaries, and boundaries require courage. You will have to say no to distractions that once served as comfort. You will have to cut off the easy paths that led you nowhere. You will have to protect your attention from a world designed to steal it. Every notification, every trivial conversation, every meaningless task is a request to borrow your time. You must be willing to decline. Because time is not just hours. Time is life force. Time is potential. Time is the unfolding of who you are becoming. When you decide not to waste another hour, you send a signal to your subconscious mind. My future matters. And your subconscious responds by reorganizing your priorities, strengthening your discipline, and increasing your sensitivity to distraction. You begin catching yourself in the moments where your old self would wander. You stop drifting, because drifting no longer aligns with who you are becoming. This decision also shifts your identity. People who respect their time carry themselves differently. Their choices sharpen. Their confidence rises. They walk through life with a clean urgency, not panic, not fear, but purpose. They do not rush, yet they waste nothing. Their hours are deliberate, and deliberate hours compound into transformation. You will notice, too, that once you begin protecting your time, certain people will no longer fit into your schedule. Some will want your energy without offering anything in return. Some will invite you into habits that drain you. Some will resent your boundaries because your discipline highlights their avoidance. Let them. You are not here to live someone else's pace. You are here to reclaim your own. This is the truth most people never face. Every hour you waste is an hour someone else is using to get ahead. And if you start late, you cannot afford equal effort. You need greater effort, greater focus, greater urgency. You must choose with precision what you give your time to, because every choice shapes the life you will experience later. Your time is limited. Your potential is not. This is the equation you must operate from now. From this day forward, ask yourself, with every decision, does this use of my time pull me forward or hold me still? If it pulls you forward, do it fully. If it holds you still, let it go without guilt. You do not need to explain, justify, or apologize for choosing a future over a distraction. This chapter is the line you draw in your life. On one side is the version of you who drifted, who hoped, who waited. On the other side is the version who acts, who chooses, who accelerates. Your life changes the moment you choose which side you are going to live on. The hour you are in right now will not return. Claim it. Use it. Shape it. Because the one who starts late must move with purpose, and purpose begins with how you spend the next 60 minutes. Chapter 3. Outwork the average until you surpass the gap. There comes a point when you must accept a simple, uncomfortable reality. If you want to stop feeling behind, you cannot work at the pace of the average person. You cannot move with their level of urgency, their level of focus, or their level of commitment. The average person does just enough to feel productive, but not enough to change anything. They stay busy, not effective. They drift through tasks that keep them comfortable, not tasks that move them forward. And the life they end up with reflects that pace. But your situation is different. You have a gap to close. You have time to make up for. You have standards to raise, habits to rebuild, and momentum to create. You cannot afford to operate like someone who started early. You must work with the intensity of someone who is determined to compress time. Someone who understands that the only way to catch up is to outwork, outfocus, and outgrow everyone else in your lane. Outworking others is not just about putting in more hours. It is about making those hours sharper, cleaner, more intentional. 10 hours of scattered effort will lose to 2 hours of pure concentration. 1 hour of deep focus can accomplish more than an entire distracted day. The person who starts late must use time differently, with precision, with force, with purpose. You are not simply trying to work harder. You are trying to elevate the quality of your energy. The truth is, effort exposes you. When you push yourself beyond what feels comfortable, you confront your limits, your excuses, your patterns of avoidance. You meet the part of you that wants to slow down, and that confrontation is necessary, because the version of you that fell behind cannot be the same version of you that accelerates. Each hour that you push through resistance, you reshape your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who is behind and start seeing yourself as someone who is becoming unstoppable. You will feel tired. You will feel stretched. You will have days where you question whether the extra effort is worth it. That is normal. Growth is expensive. It demands energy, attention, and commitment. But nothing is more expensive than staying where you are. Nothing costs more than living a life where your potential rots unused. You will pay either way. The only question is whether you pay now in discipline or later in regret. Momentum is built through action, repeated so consistently that it becomes part of who you are. When you outwork the average person long enough, effort stops feeling heavy. It becomes your rhythm. Your mind adapts. Your body adapts. Your nervous system adapts. Neuroplasticity accelerates when you challenge yourself beyond your normal limits. Your brain literally rewires to support the level of performance you demand from it. And while others settle for routines that keep them comfortable, you are building a capacity they will never touch. That capacity becomes your advantage. It becomes the invisible engine that drives you past people who once seemed far ahead. Another truth most people overlook is this. When you consistently deliver more effort than expected, opportunities start coming toward you instead of away from you. People notice discipline. They notice resilience. They notice the kind of person who shows up long after everyone else has stopped. Motion attracts possibilities. The person who outworks the room receives the invitations the room never sees. But this chapter is not just about external rewards. It is about developing internal strength. Working harder than everyone around you is not a punishment. It is an initiation. It forces you to discover what you are capable of. And most people never learn what they're capable of because they never push themselves far enough to find out. You also need to understand that closing the gap is not only about working more. It is about working wisely. Every week, you must look honestly at your results. Did your effort move you forward? Did your time create impact? If not, adjust. Not in a month. Not next season. Now. Efficiency is not optional for someone in your position. You must learn to aim your effort at what actually matters, not what merely feels productive. There will be moments when you look at others and feel frustrated that they can get away with doing less. But comparing your workload to theirs is a waste of energy. They are living the consequences of starting earlier. You are living the consequences of starting later. Both paths require effort, just in different ways. What matters is not fairness. What matters is progress. As you begin to outwork your former self, something profound happens. You stop competing with people around you and start competing with the gap between you and your potential. Your standard rises. Your tolerance for mediocrity disappears. You no longer ask, "Did I do enough to get by?" You start asking, "Did I do enough to transform?" Eventually, the work you put in begins to compound. Skills sharpen, knowledge multiplies, confidence grows. What felt overwhelming becomes routine. What once required all of your strength becomes effortless. And slowly, without noticing the exact moment it happens, you realize something extraordinary. The gap is shrinking. You are no longer the person trying to catch up. You are the person others are now trying to keep up with. But none of this happens by accident. It happens because you decided to do what the average person avoids. To push when they stay comfortable. To focus when they get distracted. To persist when they quit. It happens because you chose the path of acceleration instead of the path of excuses. Outwork the average. Outgrow the old you. Outperform your past. This is how you close the distance that once felt impossible. Chapter 4. Remove people and habits that slow down your progress. If you want to accelerate, you cannot carry unnecessary weight. Many people think their lack of progress comes from a lack of talent, opportunity, or resources. But often the real anchor is much quieter. The people they keep close and the habits they repeat every day. These two forces, relationships and routines, shape more of your life than you realize. They influence your mood, your focus, your energy, your ambition, and if you've started late, you cannot afford to let either one keep you moving at half speed. The truth is that not everyone around you is meant to go where you're going. Some people hold you in place simply because they are comfortable with the version of you that doesn't change. They may not be intentionally trying to limit you, but their mindset becomes a ceiling over your potential. When someone constantly doubts your ambition, minimizes your goals, or encourages you to stay exactly where you are, they are not neutral. They are slowing you down. And someone who is behind cannot afford to be slowed. Just as dangerous are the habits that seem harmless in the moment, but steal your time in silent fragments. The hours spent scrolling without intention, the unnecessary conversations, the late nights that destroy your mornings. None of these things feel destructive individually, but habits are not measured individually. They are measured collectively, and collectively, they can sabotage a future. Every habit either strengthens your momentum or fractures it. There is no middle ground. Awareness is the beginning of change. You must examine your environment with honesty, even if what you discover is uncomfortable. Who drains you? Who distracts you? Who brings chaos instead of clarity? Who pulls you back into patterns you're trying to escape? The answers might sting, but ignoring them costs far more. You cannot travel light while carrying relationships built on stagnation. From a spiritual scientific perspective, every person in your life emits a field of emotional energy. When someone is negative, undisciplined, unfocused, or resentful, their energy interacts with yours. Your nervous system absorbs their patterns. Your subconscious mirrors their expectations. Your focus fragments under the weight of their chaos. Conversely, people who are driven, grounded, and growth-oriented elevate your frequency. They sharpen your thinking, expand your standards, and ignite your ambition. Your environment is not passive. It is a force. The same principle applies to habits. Neuroscience shows that repeated behaviors carve pathways in your brain, shaping your identity over time. A habit you perform without thinking today becomes the default you live by tomorrow. If you want to catch up fast, you must remove habits that drain your cognitive and emotional energy. This includes digital clutter, unhealthy routines, and time-wasting distractions. These patterns weaken your momentum, not just by stealing hours, but by dulling your inner power. Removing people does not require dramatic exits or confrontations. You simply pull your energy back. You reduce access. You limit influence. You stop seeking validation from those who cannot understand your direction. You protect your mission quietly, firmly, without apology. Anyone who becomes offended by your growth is revealing their role in your life, and it is not to support your acceleration. Removing habits, however, requires intentional replacement. You cannot break a pattern by leaving an empty space. The brain hates emptiness. It will fill the void with whatever is easiest. To transform a habit, you must swap a low-value behavior for a high-value one. Replace late nights with restorative rest. Replace mindless scrolling with learning. Replace chaotic mornings with structured routines. Replace escapism with creation. Every substitution strengthens the identity you are building. Some habits and relationships will be harder to let go of because they once served you. They gave you comfort, belonging, familiarity. But comfort is not the same as alignment, and belonging is not the same as growth. You must decide what matters more: staying relatable to the people who live in your old timeline, or rising into the version of yourself that exists in your new one. As you let go of these weights, you will feel a shift, a lightness, a clarity, a mental spaciousness that you haven't felt in years. You will have more hours, more focus, more ambition. Your momentum will increase quickly because nothing is dragging behind you anymore. This is not because your life becomes easier, but because your energy is no longer divided. And not everyone will understand. Some will say, "You're changing." and they're right. You are. You're choosing progress over comfort, purpose over familiarity, focus over distraction. Growth requires this kind of evolution. The version of you that was able to stay behind cannot be the version that pulls ahead. This process is not about judgment. It is about alignment. Your environment must match your direction. Your habits must match your ambition. Your relationships must match your identity. If something or someone slows you down, the cost is too high. Removing what holds you back is not just a step in acceleration. It is a requirement, because you cannot run twice as fast while carrying what was never meant for your future. Chapter 5. Say yes to challenges that force you to grow quickly. Growth never comes from what you already know how to do. It never comes from the routines that feel safe or the tasks that sit neatly within your comfort zone. Real growth, the kind that accelerates your life, closes the gap, and changes your identity, only happens when you step into situations that stretch you, pressure you, and force you to become more capable than you were before. If you've started late, you cannot wait for the perfect moment or the ideal conditions. You must say yes to the challenges that appear, especially the ones that make you feel unprepared. Most people hesitate when faced with something difficult. They think about the risk, the discomfort, the possibility of failure. They imagine everything that could go wrong and allow that fear to paralyze them. They wait for certainty, not realizing that certainty is created through action, not before it. Meanwhile, the opportunities they avoided quietly move on to someone else. Someone who said yes, even while feeling afraid. But the person who starts late does not have the luxury of hesitation. You cannot afford to reject the very challenges that would accelerate your growth. Every challenge that demands more from you is not an obstacle. It is an opening. It is a gateway into a stronger, faster, more capable version of yourself. Pressure is not the enemy. Stagnation is. Think about the moments in your life when you grew the most. They were not the easy moments. They were the moments you were thrown into something you didn't fully understand, forced to adapt, forced to think differently, forced to act with urgency. You were not ready. You became ready because you stepped in anyway. That is the essence of rapid evolution. From a scientific perspective, challenge activates the brain's learning circuitry. It triggers heightened focus, deeper engagement, elevated cognitive power. The nervous system becomes more alert. The brain forms new connections faster. Challenge is a biological accelerator. Spiritually, challenge acts as a catalyst, a force that disrupts old patterns and exposes dormant strength. You discover abilities you didn't know you had because the situation requires them. You reveal layers of resilience that were invisible until pressure brought them forward. Every time you say yes to a challenge, you signal to your subconscious mind that you are capable of more. You stretch the boundary of what you believe you can handle. Your internal identity expands, and identity is what drives behavior. Once you become the kind of person who steps toward difficulty instead of away from it, your entire life begins to shift. The greatest opportunities rarely arrive looking convenient. They usually come disguised as work, discomfort, or uncertainty. They show up at the wrong time, demand effort you think you don't have, and require stepping into unfamiliar territory. But precisely because they are inconvenient, they are powerful. They force acceleration. They demand growth. They change the trajectory of your life faster than anything safe or predictable ever could. This does not mean saying yes to everything. It means saying yes to the challenges aligned with your goals, the ones that sharpen your skills, expand your capacity, or push you closer to your purpose. A challenge that distracts you is a trap. A challenge that elevates you is a gift. Once you commit to a challenge, you must do so fully. Half-hearted effort produces half-formed growth. When you enter a challenge with your whole energy, you transform from the inside out. You learn faster. You execute better. You build confidence that no external validation can match. The pressure becomes fuel instead of fear. Some challenges will be public, where others can witness your progress or your mistakes. That visibility may intimidate you, but it also adds accountability. When others can see your effort, you naturally rise to a higher standard. Other challenges will be private. Internal battles, discipline tests, choices no one else will ever know about. These are just as powerful. They build integrity, self-trust, and internal strength. You will not win every challenge. Some will break you open. Some will reveal weaknesses you didn't realize you had. But failure within a challenge is not a setback. It is feedback. It shows you where to focus, where to strengthen, and what to transform. The person who avoids challenge avoids the opportunity to learn themselves. When you begin consistently saying yes to challenges, you create a psychological shift. Difficult things no longer intimidate you. Uncertainty no longer paralyzes you. You begin to expect hard things and even seek them out, because you understand that every challenge you embrace shortens the distance between the life you have and the life you want. The irony is this: the challenges you fear most often become the challenges that liberate you the most. They expose the limits you built in your mind and show you that those limits were never real. Each time you walk through fear, fear loses its power. Each time you embrace discomfort, discomfort becomes familiar. And when discomfort becomes familiar, growth becomes inevitable. If you want to stop feeling behind, you must be willing to grow faster than you ever have before. And the fastest path to growth is through challenge. Not avoiding it, not postponing it, not negotiating with it. Meeting it, entering it, saying yes to it, even while your voice shakes. Accelerated growth does not happen in safe environments. It happens when you take the step you're not ready for, speak the words you're afraid to say, accept the responsibility that feels bigger than you, pursue the opportunity that intimidates you. That is how you create a version of yourself capable of catching up, and then moving ahead. Say yes to the challenge. Step into the arena. You may not feel prepared, but the preparation will come through the doing. Growth waits on the other side of difficulty, and the faster you step into it, the faster your life transforms. Chapter 6. Learn from those ahead and act on it immediately. One of the fastest ways to shorten the distance between where you are and where you want to be is to stop trying to figure everything out alone. You can spend years experimenting, stumbling, repeating mistakes, and searching for answers that someone else has already uncovered. Or you can learn from the people who are already ahead of you, the ones who have walked the path, solved the problems, and built the results you're trying to achieve. Their experience is a shortcut, but only if you use it with urgency. Most people admire those ahead of them, but admiration alone changes nothing. Inspiration without action becomes entertainment. They watch from a distance, feeling motivated for a moment, then return to the same habits that keep them stuck. They treat successful people like scenery instead of instruction. But if you've started late and you want to catch up, you cannot afford passive inspiration. You need strategic imitation, not copying who they are, but understanding how they think, how they move, and how they make decisions. The people ahead of you are not lucky anomalies. They made choices, built habits, and endured challenges that sharpened them. They developed a mindset capable of navigating uncertainty. They learned through trial, error, and refinement. They paid the cost in time, energy, and effort. When you learn from them, you borrow their years. You collapse their timeline into yours. But learning alone is not enough. You must apply what you learn immediately, before hesitation waters it down. Every insight has an expiration date. If you don't act on it fast, the urgency fades, the clarity dulls, and the advantage disappears. Knowledge becomes power only when it becomes movement. When you study those ahead of you, look deeper than their results. Study their discipline, not just their success. Study their patterns, not just their wins. Look at how they respond to setbacks, how they structure their days, how they prioritize what matters, how they eliminate distractions. The small behaviors they repeat daily are the real difference makers, not the dramatic highlights people post online. Scientifically, this is how humans are designed to evolve. Your brain contains mirror neurons that allow you to absorb skills and behaviors simply by observing them. When you watch someone perform at a higher level, your mind builds internal models that can replicate those actions. Spiritually, being in the presence, even digitally, of someone ahead of you elevates your energetic frequency. Their confidence expands your confidence. Their clarity sharpens your clarity. Their standards raise yours. But this elevation is lost if you fail to act. Action is what seals the learning into your identity. When you implement what you observe, your neural pathways strengthen. Your subconscious adopts new patterns. You stop being someone who knows what to do and become someone who does what is required. Some people avoid learning from others because pride gets in the way. They want to figure everything out themselves, even if it costs them years. But pride is a luxury you cannot afford when you're behind. Humility is a superpower during acceleration. It allows you to absorb wisdom, adapt faster, and avoid unnecessary mistakes. You do not need to copy someone else's life. Your path will be your own. But principles are universal. Discipline is universal. Structure is universal. Strategy is universal. What worked for someone ahead of you can be adapted to fit your strengths and your goals. Also, study how they handled failure. People often focus only on others' achievements, missing the breakthroughs hidden inside their struggles. The way someone recovers from mistakes, recalibrates their strategy, and continues despite obstacles is one of the most valuable patterns you can learn. Success leaves clues, but failure leaves instructions. Whenever possible, seek direct access to people who are ahead. Mentors, teachers, communities, environments where high standards are normal. If you must invest money or effort to get close to better minds, do it. You are not paying for information. You are paying for acceleration. You are paying to trade confusion for clarity, wasted years for focused progress. Once you learn something valuable, apply it immediately. Test it, adjust it, make it your own. Some methods will fit perfectly, others will require refinement. That is part of the process. What matters is that you do not let an insight sit unused. Every day you delay implementation is a day you stay behind. Over time, this cycle, learn, apply, refine, becomes a force that compounds. Each skill makes you faster at acquiring the next. Each breakthrough makes the next breakthrough easier. You rise level by level until one day you realize something extraordinary. The people you used to look up to are now your peers. And eventually, others will be learning from you. But that future begins with a simple truth. The fastest way to accelerate is to learn from those who are already moving faster. The shortcut exists. The map exists. The examples exist. The question is whether you will absorb their wisdom and turn it into action before another hour slips away. Learning is not the advantage. Acting on what you learn immediately is. Chapter 7. Refuse to slow down when you start feeling safe. One of the most dangerous moments in your growth is not when you're struggling, not when you're uncertain, and not when you're behind. The real danger appears when you finally begin to feel safe. Safety whispers to you. It tells you you've earned a break. It convinces you that momentum will carry itself. It tempts you to coast. And this subtle shift, this quiet lowering of your standards, is where progress begins to die. Because safety feels warm. It feels deserved. It feels like a reward for all the effort you've put in. And that is exactly why it is so deceptive. Nothing feels wrong at first. Your life is better than it was. You're more disciplined than you used to be. You're ahead of your old self. But comfort doesn't announce its arrival. It slides in silently and takes the edge off your ambition. If you've started late, you cannot afford this drift. The moment you slow down, the gap begins to widen again. Progress is not static. You are either moving forward or sliding backward. Momentum only survives with continued effort. It decays quickly when neglected. What once required discipline will soon require discipline again if your pace weakens. The truth is that safety creates complacency. It makes you mistake improvement for completion. When you were behind, you pushed with urgency. You were sharp, determined, unrelenting. But once you feel secure, you risk slipping into maintenance mode, a mode that feels productive but leads nowhere. Maintenance is slow decline disguised as stability. Your habits reflect this shift before you do. You wake up a little later. You allow more distractions into your day. You avoid the difficult tasks you once confronted with courage. You start negotiating with yourself, letting small compromises slide. Each compromise seems insignificant, but together, they lower your standard until you're living at a level you fought so hard to rise above. This is why you must refuse to slow down when safety appears. Not because you need to live in stress, but because you need to live in growth. Safety makes your mind drift into preservation. Growth keeps your mind oriented toward possibility. When you aim for preservation, you step backward. When you aim for possibility, you continue rising. Spiritually and scientifically, the principle is the same. A system that stops expanding begins contracting. The mind that stops stretching begins shrinking. The energy that stops circulating becomes stagnant. Life does not reward stillness. It rewards movement. When your inner evolution stops, life mirrors it by giving you fewer opportunities, fewer challenges, fewer breakthroughs. The solution is not to fear comfort. It is to outgrow it. As soon as you achieve a goal, set another. As soon as you reach a milestone, raise the bar. Not because what you achieved isn't enough, but because staying at the same level is never enough for someone committed to becoming their highest self. You do not chase achievement for validation. You chase it because expansion is your natural state. When you start feeling safe, deliberately introduce challenge back into your life. Take on a project that demands more from you. Learn something that stretches your mind. Step into a role that requires new skills. Seek mentors who force you to level up. Safety dulls your instincts. Challenge sharpens them again. You must also stay aware of the shift in your relationship with time. When you were behind, every hour felt critical. When you feel ahead, hours begin to feel abundant. That illusion invites waste. But time has not changed. Only your perception of it has. The truth is, time remains scarce. you still cannot afford to waste it. You still cannot afford to drift. You still cannot afford to lose the urgency that made your progress possible. Do not confuse inner peace with stagnation. You can be calm and still grow. You can be grounded and still push forward. Peace is not the absence of motion. It is the presence of clarity. Growth, when done consciously, becomes its own kind of peace. Surround yourself with people who force you to think bigger, not people impressed by what you've already done. When you stay around those who idolize your progress, you stay small. When you stay around those who challenge your progress, you grow. Comfort loves company. Excellence loves expansion. Be honest with yourself when signs of slowing appear. When you make excuses, when you take it easy too often, when you avoid the hard work that once defined you, when your drive becomes softer. None of these make you weak, but ignoring them will. Remember the version of you who started this journey, the one who felt the urgency, the hunger, the determination to change. That version is still inside you. Do not bury them under comfort. Let them lead again. Because the truth is simple. Feeling safe is not the finish line. It is the warning light. The moment most people lose momentum is the moment you must protect yours. You did not come this far to slow down. You did not fight through the years of wasted time just to drift again. You did not decide to accelerate only to settle at the first sign of comfort. Growth is your safety. Movement is your protection. Expansion is your stability. Stay sharp. Stay hungry. Stay in motion. When safety whispers to slow down, choose to rise instead. Chapter 8. Fill your day with actions that truly move you forward. If you want real change, you must take control of your days with a level of intentionality that most people never practice. Too many people stay busy without ever moving closer to their goals. They confuse activity with progress. They check boxes, handle low-stakes tasks, respond to endless distractions. But when the day ends, they are exactly where they were before. If you've started late, this kind of living is not just ineffective, it is dangerous. Every day you fill with meaningless action widens the gap you are trying to close. Progress is not built from motion, it is built from direction. There is a profound difference between a day full of tasks and a day full of impact. To accelerate your life, you must identify the actions that truly move you forward. The ones that influence your future, shift your trajectory, or expand your capacity. And you must make those actions the center of your day. But most people never take the time to define what forward actually means for them. They allow their days to be shaped by randomness, notifications, obligations, interruptions, the priorities of others. When you wake up without a plan, the world will create one for you. And the world does not care about your potential. The world cares about your attention. That is why you must reclaim your hours before anything else does. Start your day with intention. Not a vague sense of direction, but a clear understanding of the 2 or 3 high-impact actions that truly matter. These are the tasks that create leverage, that build momentum, that change the shape of your future. When you begin your day with them, you guarantee progress. When you postpone them, you guarantee drift. High-impact actions often feel difficult because they require focus, creativity, vulnerability, or courage. They might involve reaching out to new opportunities, developing a skill that will matter years from now, completing a project that moves your career forward, or investing in something that expands your capacity. These actions feel harder than scrolling, organizing, or responding, but they produce results that last. Low-impact actions, on the other hand, feel deceptively productive. They give you the illusion of movement while keeping you safely within your comfort zone. But a life built on comfort tasks is a life without transformation. From a scientific perspective, your brain is wired to conserve energy. It will subconsciously guide you toward easier tasks because they feel rewarding without demanding much effort. This is why intentional planning is essential. It prevents your brain's natural laziness from sabotaging your long-term growth. Spiritually, every action carries a vibration. Tasks aligned with your higher purpose elevate your energy, sharpen your clarity, and open pathways of opportunity. Tasks rooted in avoidance or fear lower your frequency, creating stagnation. Your day becomes a reflection of the energy you choose to operate from. You must also understand the hidden cost of distraction. Every time you switch tasks, your brain burns energy reorienting itself. This cognitive fragmentation drains your focus and makes deep, meaningful work nearly impossible. If you allow constant interruptions, messages, social media, unnecessary conversations, you are not just losing minutes. You are losing the depth of thought required to change your life. This is why you must protect your focus like a resource. Turn off what tempts you. Remove what weakens you. Create spaces in your day where nothing exists except the work that matters. When your mind enters a state of uninterrupted concentration, time stretches. You accomplish more in an hour of deep focus than in an entire day of divided attention. Another powerful shift comes from making your actions measurable. Work on my goals is vague. Reach out to 5 clients, study for 2 hours, complete the next milestone is tangible. Measurable actions create accountability. They demand completion, not intention. But even with clarity and structure, you must learn the art of saying no. Every yes is a withdrawal from your time account. Every yes diverts energy away from your purpose. You cannot live a life of impact if you say yes to every invitation, every distraction, every low-value opportunity. The person who starts late must be selective, not selfish, selective, because your future depends on it. When you fill your day with meaningful action, something shifts internally. You go to bed with a sense of pride instead of regret. You begin building a rhythm of progress that compounds. You feel momentum forming, a subtle but powerful pull toward a higher version of yourself. Each day becomes a stepping stone instead of a loop. And here's the deeper truth. Meaningful action changes your identity. When you consistently act in ways that move you forward, your brain begins to recognize you as someone who follows through, someone who progresses, someone who is rising. Identity drives behavior, and behavior reinforces identity. This self-feeding loop becomes your greatest advantage. Not every day will be perfect. Some days will feel heavy. Some days the old patterns will tempt you back into comfort. But if you make meaningful action your default, even in small ways, your life will not stay the same. The gap will begin to close. Opportunities will begin to appear. You will feel yourself accelerating. Because when your days are filled with action that truly matters, your life begins to move in ways that others call luck. But you will know, it was never luck. It was the accumulation of intentional hours. Stop confusing movement with progress. Fill your days with the actions that build your future, not the ones that protect your comfort. Your destiny is shaped in the hours you choose and the hours you waste. Choose wisely. Choose deliberately. Choose forward. Chapter 9. Do what others avoid if it gets you results faster. If you want to gain ground quickly, you must walk into the spaces most people avoid. Progress is rarely found in the comfortable path. It's found in the places that demand courage, exposure, uncertainty, and intensity. The truth is simple. The work everyone else avoids is often the work that produces the fastest results. Not because it is easier, but because almost no one is willing to do it. The competition is thinner, the opportunities are greater, and the breakthroughs are faster for those who are brave enough to step forward. Most people live their lives choosing the safer options, the predictable moves, the tasks that let them feel competent without ever challenging their boundaries. They avoid the uncomfortable conversation. They avoid the high-stakes responsibility. They avoid placing themselves in situations where failure is possible. And as a result, they move slowly, always circling the edges of their potential without ever stepping into it. But if you've started late, you cannot afford to follow that pattern. You cannot move at the pace of those who had a head start. Your progress must be compressed, and compression requires courage. There are tasks that almost everyone resists. The cold outreach, the negotiations, the leadership roles, the creative risks, the technical challenges, the complex problems that require deep thinking. These tasks feel intimidating because they expose you. They demand your full presence. They require you to confront your fears instead of hiding behind routine. But precisely because they are rare, they create openings where you can advance faster than you ever thought possible. What others avoid becomes a highway when you step onto it. From a psychological perspective, the human mind is wired to stay near familiarity. The amygdala interprets uncertainty as danger, even when the danger is only imagined. That's why certain tasks feel threatening. Not because they are harmful, but because they carry the possibility of growth. Growth disrupts equilibrium. The mind prefers safety, but your future prefers expansion. From a spiritual angle, avoided tasks hold powerful energetic weight. They sit at the edge of your comfort zone, like locked doors. Each time you step toward them, you increase your frequency. You send a clear signal to the universe that you are ready to hold more, ready to become more. And when your energy rises, opportunities that once seemed distant begin to move toward you. The bold act as magnets, the hesitant act as shields. You must also understand this. The anticipation of discomfort is always worse than the discomfort itself. The mind magnifies uncertainty into something monstrous. But once you step in, once you make the call, raise your hand, take the role, lead the project, the fear dissolves. Your nervous system adapts. What was once terrifying becomes manageable, and what becomes manageable becomes a new skill. Your edge expands every time you cross it. Doing what others avoid also builds a rare form of confidence. Not the shallow confidence that comes from comfort, but the deep confidence that comes from evidence. When you repeatedly choose to face discomfort, you begin to trust yourself on a different level. You realize you can navigate complexity, withstand pressure, and adapt quickly. You stop treating uncertainty as something to fear and start treating it as something that sharpens you. This self-trust becomes a strategic advantage. It is the inner grounding that allows you to move quickly while others hesitate. But you must approach this path with intention, not recklessness. Doing what others avoid does not mean chasing difficulty for its own sake. It means identifying the uncomfortable actions that have the highest impact, the ones that accelerate your progress, open doors, and change your trajectory. These are calculated risks, not chaotic impulses. A powerful question to ask yourself each morning is this: what am I avoiding that would move me forward the fastest? The answer is usually clear. Your avoidance is a compass. It points directly to the task that matters most, And the moment you stop avoiding it, the moment you approach it with urgency, you shorten your timeline. Avoidance wastes energy. Action releases it. Another truth is that most avoided tasks require initiative. No one will assign them to you. No one will encourage you to step into them. You must choose them. You must walk toward them without waiting for permission. In a world full of hesitation, initiative becomes a superpower. People who act without being asked rise faster in every environment: business, leadership, creativity, personal evolution. They become the ones others rely on. They become the ones others notice. Doing what others avoid also gives you access to unique experiences. When you step into the difficult roles, you learn what most people never learn. You gain a perspective most people never gain. You accumulate strengths most people never develop. And over time, these differences compound into something extraordinary. Your growth becomes exponential rather than linear. But none of this happens without consistency. Doing one uncomfortable thing once is not transformation. It is a moment. Transformation occurs when discomfort becomes part of your rhythm. Each week, choose something that stretches you. Each week, face something you normally postpone. Each week, act in ways that would scare the version of you from last year. Your life will expand according to the amount of discomfort you are willing to embrace. The deeper risk is not stepping into challenging spaces. The deeper risk is avoiding them. Avoidance is a silent thief. It steals your time, your momentum, your potential. It keeps you moving slowly in a world that is not waiting for you to feel ready. If you want to regain time, you must walk into the fire that others fear. Something remarkable happens when you live this way. The tasks that once intimidated you begin to feel natural. The uncertainty that once paralyzed you becomes energizing. You start seeing challenges not as threats, but as accelerators. While others hesitate at the edge, you step forward. While others slow down, you speed up. And slowly, the gap begins to close. Not because you are better, not because you are luckier, but because you are willing to do what others won't. Your future is hidden inside the tasks you keep avoiding. Approach them, step toward them, meet them with determination, not fear. If you do, you won't just catch up. You will surpass those who never learned how to move through discomfort. Chapter 10. Prove to yourself every night you gave your maximum. At the end of each day, there is one question that determines your speed, your progress, and the rate at which your life transforms. Did you truly give your maximum today? Not your comfortable effort. Not the effort you felt like giving. Not the effort that made you look productive. Your maximum. The version of you that refuses to waste a single hour because you know you've already started late and every hour matters. This question is powerful because it demands honesty. Behind closed doors, with no audience to impress and no one to applaud your effort, you must admit the truth. Either you showed up fully or you didn't. There is no in-between. Most people avoid this kind of accountability because it strips away all excuses. It exposes the gap between who they say they are and how they actually behave. But if you want to catch up, if you want to move faster than the timeline you're currently on, this nightly confrontation is essential. Giving your maximum does not mean grinding until you collapse. It means using the hours you have with intention, presence, and seriousness. It means you didn't hide from the tasks you knew were important. It means you didn't let fear or distraction dictate your choices. It means you didn't negotiate with yourself when things got uncomfortable. It means you acted with clarity, not emotion, purpose, not convenience. Most people wait for a dramatic moment to start giving their best. A crisis, a deadline, a last chance. But if you've started late, every day is already a last chance. You cannot afford to coast. You cannot afford to drift. The stakes are already high, whether you acknowledge them or not. This is why the nightly question matters. It brings urgency back into your life every single day. When you commit to giving your maximum, you experience a shift in identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries. You start seeing yourself as someone who executes, someone who follows through, someone who does not abandon their potential. The act of giving your best is not just about productivity. It is about integrity. It is the alignment between your intention and your behavior, between your ambition and your action. This alignment becomes a source of strength. When you know you gave everything you had today, a deep calm settles in your mind. You no longer go to sleep with frustration or guilt. You rest with clarity, knowing the day was not wasted. And when you wake up the next morning, you rise with confidence, because self-respect is built from repeated proof, not empty promises. From a psychological point of view, nightly reflection enhances awareness. The brain thrives on feedback loops. When you regularly evaluate your effort, you quickly identify what weakens you. Procrastination, distraction, avoidance, emotional decision-making. You cannot change what you refuse to see. This simple practice reveals the patterns that hold you back and forces you to correct them before they become habits. From a spiritual perspective, giving your maximum is energetic alignment. When your actions match your intentions, your energy field becomes coherent. Coherence creates momentum. Momentum attracts opportunity. A day lived at full capacity sends a clear vibrational message into the world. I am ready for more. I am prepared for the next level. This alignment draws resources, ideas, and connections that stagnation cannot attract. This nightly review is also a form of discipline training. Each time you tell yourself, I will give my all today, and then you follow through. You strengthen the neural pathways associated with commitment. You train your mind to override emotional impulses and prioritize long-term results. Over time, this becomes automatic. What once felt difficult begins to feel natural. Your threshold for effort increases. Your capacity expands. But none of this works without brutal honesty. You cannot lie to yourself at night and expect to grow. If you held back, you must admit it. If you avoided something important, acknowledge it. If you let distractions rule your day, face the truth. This is not about shame. This is about clarity. Clarity gives you power. When you see exactly where you fell short, you know exactly what to correct tomorrow. Most people avoid this honesty because they fear what they will find. But the truth is, honesty frees you. It stops you from living in vague dissatisfaction. It gives you a direction to aim your correction. And with each correction, your life shifts a little more into alignment. A powerful aspect of this practice is how it prevents wasted time. When you evaluate your days honestly, you cannot let an entire month slip by unnoticed. You cannot drift for weeks because every night pulls you back to awareness. Every night forces you to measure your effort. Every night confronts you with the truth of whether you are living up to your potential or not. This is how you accelerate. This is how you reclaim the time you've lost. Some days, the maximum you can give will look different. Your energy may fluctuate. Life may interfere. But maximum effort is not about perfection. It is about commitment. It is about showing up fully with whatever capacity you have that day. On strong days, your maximum will be powerful. On difficult days, your maximum may be smaller. But it is no less meaningful, because integrity is measured by intention, not circumstance. Over time, giving your maximum creates undeniable momentum. You begin each morning with a clearer sense of purpose because you know you will have to answer to yourself that night. You choose better actions. You waste less time. You avoid behaviors that weaken your momentum. Your days take on a sharpness, a focus, a direction that most people never experience. And here is the deeper truth. Giving your maximum every day eventually redefines what your maximum is. What once felt like your limit becomes routine. What once drained you becomes manageable. What once scared you becomes familiar. This is how growth happens, not through inspiration, but through repetition at the edge of your current capacity. By proving your effort each night, you dissolve the illusion of, "I'll do better tomorrow." Tomorrow is shaped by today. A life is shaped by the accumulation of days. And if every day ends with evidence that you gave your all, your life cannot stay the same. So tonight, ask yourself with honesty and courage, did I give my maximum today? Did I move with purpose? Did I honor the time I was given? Did I avoid the easy path and choose the path that builds me? Did I act like someone who wants to change their life? Or did I act like someone who has time to waste? If the answer is yes, sleep with pride. If the answer is no, use that truth as fuel. Because tomorrow is another chance, and you now know exactly what must be done. Chapter 11. Stop expecting easy results and start expecting yourself to evolve. One of the biggest reasons people stay behind is simple. They expect the journey to be easier than it is. They expect progress without pressure, growth without discomfort, momentum without discipline. They want the reward, but resist the evolution required to earn it. If you've started late, this mindset will destroy your chances before you even begin. You cannot expect the world to make things easy for you. You must expect yourself to become stronger. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they cannot tolerate the weight of the process. They underestimate the amount of effort required to change their life. They underestimate how long consistency must be maintained before momentum appears. They underestimate the resistance they will face from their own habits, emotions, and fears. And when reality demands more than they anticipated, they stop, not because they are incapable, but because their expectations were unrealistic. The truth is harsh, but liberating. Nothing about catching up will feel easy. The path will be heavier for you because you're making up for lost time. The pressure will be greater. The demands will be higher. The timeline will be tighter. But if you accept this instead of resisting it, something powerful happens. You stop wasting energy wishing it were easier and begin investing that energy into becoming someone who can handle the difficulty. The moment you shift from, "Why is this so hard?" to, "I am built to grow through this," everything changes. Difficulty is not a barrier. It is a sculptor. It shapes you into someone capable of holding the life you want. Life will not hand you progress you are not equipped to maintain. The challenges in front of you are not punishments. They are invitations to evolve. The weight you feel is not meant to break you. It is meant to strengthen the parts of you that have been neglected for too long. From a psychological perspective, growth is uncomfortable because your brain is wired for efficiency. It wants to repeat familiar patterns, not create new ones. When you introduce change, the brain resists. It floods you with doubt, fatigue, procrastination, emotional overwhelm. But the resistance is not a sign to stop. It is a sign that your old identity is being challenged. When you continue despite that resistance, The brain adapts. What was once difficult becomes normal. What was once overwhelming becomes manageable. This adaptation is neuroplasticity in real time, the rewiring of your internal architecture. From a spiritual standpoint, expecting ease disconnects you from your power. Ease belongs to stagnation. Growth, by nature, expands you beyond who you were yesterday. Expansion stretches your energy, your boundaries, your capacity. It forces you to shed old versions of yourself like a snake shedding its skin. The shedding is uncomfortable, but without it, you cannot rise. When you embrace difficulty as a sacred part of your transformation, your energy aligns with your desired future instead of resisting it. Many people sabotage their progress because they label discomfort as a sign they're on the wrong path. But discomfort is the clearest sign you're on the right one. It means you are moving into territory you have not yet mastered. It means you are building muscles, physical, mental, spiritual, that did not exist before. Progress never feels like progress while you're inside it. It feels like confusion, self-doubt, tension, and effort. Only when you look back do you recognize how far you've come. When you stop expecting ease, you stop quitting early. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop fantasizing about shortcuts and start building strength. You stop comparing yourself to people who started earlier and understand you are running a different race. You start expecting yourself to adapt, to evolve, to overcome, not because the journey is forgiving, but because you are capable. The expectation of ease is what makes most people crumble under pressure. But when you expect challenge, your mindset changes. Pressure doesn't scare you anymore. It focuses you. It sharpens you. It wakes up parts of you that were dormant. When something becomes harder, you don't break. You activate. You rise to the level of the demand. You become someone who no longer fears effort, because you know effort is your path to freedom. Let go of the fantasy that success should feel smooth. Let go of the illusion that you are supposed to feel comfortable. Let go of the belief that you should progress without resistance. Expect the climb to test you. Expect the journey to stretch you. Expect yourself to grow into someone far stronger than the version of you who started. You are not here to chase easy results. You are here to become someone powerful enough to create results that last. Chapter 12. Keep your effort high, even when results are invisible. One of the most dangerous moments in your journey is not when you're tired, not when you're overwhelmed, not even when you're unsure. The most dangerous moment is when you're working hard and nothing seems to be changing. When you give your energy, your discipline, your hours, your focus, and life stays silent. No reward, no breakthrough, no visible progress. It is here that most people quit, not because they lack potential, but because they misinterpret silence as failure. But silence is not failure. Silence is gestation. Every transformation has a period where everything is happening beneath the surface, hidden from your eyes. Think of a seed underground. For weeks it looks lifeless. You water it, nurture it, protect it. Nothing happens. But beneath the soil, roots are forming, structure is building, foundation is developing. If the seed quit simply because nothing was visible, it would never break the surface. And the same is true for you. Your results often grow in secret before they grow in public. The work you are doing, the sacrifices, the habits, the consistency, they are building foundations you cannot see yet. You are rewiring your mind. You are stabilizing your discipline. You are sharpening your resilience. You are creating internal momentum long before external momentum appears. This is why you must keep your effort high, even when nothing seems to be happening. Most people misunderstand time. They think effort and results are a simple equation. Do the work today, get the payoff tomorrow. But the universe does not operate on your schedule. Growth follows a different rhythm, a non-linear rhythm. Progress often compounds suddenly, not gradually. For weeks or months, it seems like nothing is shifting. Then, in a moment, everything rearranges itself. Opportunities appear, momentum accelerates. Life responds in a way that looks instantaneous, but was actually built on every unseen effort you made along the way. From a scientific perspective, this principle is clear. Systems resist change at first. Neural pathways require repetition before they strengthen. Physical muscles break down before they grow. Habits feel unnatural before they become automatic. Everything worthwhile requires a period of friction before the breakthrough. That friction is not a sign to stop. It is the sign you are in the process of becoming. Spiritually, invisible results mean your energy is shifting before your reality does. Your frequency is rising. Your identity is transforming. Your inner world is aligning with the future you want to create. Reality changes from the inside out, not the outside in. When nothing is visible, everything is preparing. This is the sacred part of the journey. The part that tests your faith, your patience, your resilience, and your trust in your own path. Invisible progress forces you to build strength without validation. And that strength becomes the foundation for every success that follows. The problem is that most people tie their effort to external outcomes. When results show up, they work hard. When results pause, they slow down. When recognition comes, they feel motivated. When recognition fades, their discipline crumbles. Their entire life becomes a reactive loop, driven not by purpose, but by circumstances. If you want to catch up and move ahead, you cannot live this way. You must work from identity, not outcome. From internal standards, not external applause. You must become the kind of person who maintains intensity even when life gives you no encouragement. You must hold your frequency steady even when nothing reflects it yet. This is where maturity is built. Your consistency when nothing is happening is what determines who you become when everything starts happening at once. Most breakthroughs come to those who stayed long after others gave up. Not because they were the most talented, but because they understood a fundamental law of progress. Effort is never wasted. It accumulates, it compounds, it imprints itself into your character. Every disciplined hour strengthens a layer of you that cannot be taken away. You become sharper, clearer, more capable, more aligned. The effort you put in today may not show up today, but it shows up. Always. Another reason invisible progress destroys people is because they rely too heavily on emotion. They wait to feel motivated. They wait to feel inspired. But emotions fluctuate. Discipline should not. Your effort must come from a deeper place, a place unaffected by temporary doubt or impatience. Think of a craftsman sharpening a blade. Stroke after stroke, the blade looks the same. But the craftsman continues because he understands the process. He knows that each pass matters, even when his eyes cannot see the change yet. Eventually, the blade reaches a point where a single final stroke makes it gleam. But every stroke before it was part of the transformation. Your life is the same. You don't get to see the sharpening as it happens. You only see the moment everything becomes sharp. If you quit in the invisible phase, you never reach the visible one. Your job is to continue, to persist, to trust the silent stages, to understand that your effort is traveling through time, accumulating in a future that will reveal itself at the right moment. Effort is an energy signal. When you remain consistent, you declare to the universe, I am ready. I am serious. I am stable. I will not collapse at the first challenge. And the universe responds to stability. Opportunities do not come to the inconsistent. They come to those who have demonstrated that they can hold them. So when you feel discouraged because nothing is happening, remind yourself, the roots are forming, the capacity is growing, the momentum is building beneath the surface. Your future is shifting in ways you cannot see yet. Invisible does not mean inactive. Silent does not mean stagnant. Delayed does not mean denied. You must keep your effort high, not because results demand it, but because evolution demands it. You are becoming someone who deserves the life you've imagined, and that becoming happens long before the world notices. Trust the unseen. Honor the process. Continue the work. Chapter 13. Protect your energy like your future depends on it. If you've started late and you're serious about catching up, you must understand one truth. Your energy is your most valuable currency, not time, not money, not motivation. Energy is the force that determines the quality of your decisions, the sharpness of your focus, the strength of your discipline, and the consistency of your actions. When your energy is strong, everything becomes easier. When your energy is drained, even simple tasks feel impossible. Most people lose the race long before they realize it, because they allow their energy to be drained by people, environments, habits, and thoughts that weaken them. They go through each day leaking power, small leaks, constant leaks, until they have nothing left for the work that actually matters. They aren't behind because they didn't try. They're behind because they tried while empty. To move fast, to rebuild momentum, to accelerate your growth, you must treat your energy as sacred. Every action either expands your energy or diminishes it. Every person either uplifts your frequency or lowers it. Every habit either sharpens your focus or scatters your mind. Progress is not just about doing more work. It's about doing work with a cleaner, stronger internal state. When your energy is protected, your effort becomes efficient. When your energy is scattered, effort becomes exhausting. From a psychological standpoint, your brain has a limited amount of decision-making power each day. Every distraction, every unnecessary interaction, every emotional drain uses up cognitive resources you need for your real goals. When you don't protect your energy, you sabotage your own capacity without noticing it. From a spiritual perspective, your energy field interacts with everything around you. People, intentions, environments, even your own inner dialogue. All of them influence your frequency. When your frequency is low, your thoughts become heavier, your actions become hesitant, and opportunities slip past you because you are not aligned with them. But when your frequency is high, grounded, clear, disciplined, you attract clarity, momentum, and synchronicity. This is why protecting your energy is not optional. It is strategic. You must begin with the biggest leaks. People who drain you. Every time you interact with someone who complains, doubts, belittles, or discourages you, a part of your energy is pulled downward. These are the conversations that leave you feeling heavier than before. The relationships that demand emotional labor without giving anything back. If you stay surrounded by people who live small, think small, or settle easily, you will unconsciously lower your energy to match theirs. You do not need to cut people off harshly, but you must create boundaries. Reduce access, limit exposure. Give your presence to those who fuel your growth, not those who suffocate it. Next, come the habits that drain you: overthinking, scrolling, worrying, starting and stopping, doing low-value tasks that make you feel busy, but not effective. These habits steal your mental and emotional energy quietly. They don't exhaust you all at once. They deplete you slowly, moment by moment, until you look up and wonder why you feel so tired before the real work has even begun. Your energy must be guarded from yourself as much as from others. Then consider your environment. Clutter weakens your mind. Noise fragments your focus. Chaos disrupts your rhythm. You cannot build a powerful future in an environment that constantly pulls your attention away from the present moment. Create a space that supports your growth. Clean, calm, intentional. Your mind reflects the condition of your surroundings, but the deepest layer of energy protection is internal. Your thoughts. Nothing drains energy faster than self-judgment, doubt, guilt, regret, and mental replay of the past. These thought loops consume emotional bandwidth you need for action. If you keep reliving old failures, you cannot create new victories. If you constantly question your ability, you weaken the very energy that builds ability. Protecting your energy means refusing to argue with your past and refusing to negotiate with your potential. When your energy is clean, your decisions become sharper. You stop second-guessing. You stop hesitating. You stop drifting into unproductive patterns. You begin moving with intention because your internal system is stable. You begin acting with confidence because your inner world is not competing with your outer goals. And here is the cosmic truth. Energy precedes outcome. Every breakthrough first occurs in the unseen realm of your internal state. Your clarity, your emotional power, your intention, your focus. When you raise your energy, your external world begins to rearrange itself to match it. People shift. Opportunities shift. Your pace shifts. Your results shift. You catch up faster not just because you work harder, but because you work from a stronger energetic foundation. To protect your energy is to protect your future. To drain your energy is to delay your future. Make choices that preserve your power. Avoid people who consume your light. Remove habits that pull you backward. Speak to yourself in ways that strengthen your identity, not weaken it. Create an environment that holds your goals, not distracts you from them. Your progress depends on the quality of your energy. Guard it, fuel it, honor it. Because when your energy rises, your entire life rises with it. Chapter 14. Return to your mission. Every time you get distracted. No matter how disciplined, focused, or determined you are, distractions will try to pull you away from your mission. They come quietly, subtly, often disguised as harmless moments. A few minutes on your phone, a conversation that leads nowhere, a small task that feels urgent but changes nothing. Distraction is not loud. It is gentle. It steals your future one small moment at a time. And the truth is, the more meaningful your mission becomes, the more distractions will appear. Not because the world is against you, but because the world is filled with noise. If you don't actively direct your mind will be directed by everything around you. This is why one of the most important skills you can develop is the ability to return to your mission. Quickly, repeatedly, resiliently. Every time you get pulled off track. Most people waste days, weeks, even months, because they don't know how to return. They get distracted once and stay distracted. They lose 1 hour and surrender the entire day. They slip for a week and convince themselves they've failed. Distraction becomes a doorway into self-judgment, and self-judgment becomes a cycle that keeps them from taking action. But you are not here to be perfect. You are here to be consistent. Returning to your mission is not about never getting distracted. It's about training yourself to come back faster and stronger each time. Psychologically, distraction hijacks your dopamine system. It gives you quick artificial rewards that pull you away from the deeper satisfaction of long-term goals. Your brain adapts to whatever you feed it most often. If you feed it noise, your focus weakens. If you feed it purpose, your focus strengthens. Every time you return to your mission, you are rewiring your neural pathways, teaching your brain that your goals matter more than temporary stimulation. From a spiritual perspective, distraction is energetic leakage. When your attention scatters, your frequency drops. Your energy becomes diluted, fragmented, unfocused. But when you pull your attention back to your mission, you reclaim your frequency. You gather your power. You concentrate your intention into a single point. And intention, when concentrated, becomes force. This is how manifestation accelerates, through the consistent return of focus. Discipline is not the absence of distraction. Discipline is the process of remembering what matters. Returning also requires grace, not softness, but understanding. You must learn to correct yourself without collapsing into guilt. Guilt drains energy. Correction restores it. The faster you forgive yourself for getting distracted, the faster you can return to movement. The question is not, will I get distracted? The question is, what will I do the moment I notice it? Most people underestimate how quickly they can recover. They believe that once they drift, the day is ruined. But transformation does not require a perfect day. It requires a reclaimed day. The moment you pull yourself back, you disrupt the old pattern and reinforce the new one. One powerful strategy is to anchor your mission in your identity. Instead of thinking, I need to get back on track, you think, I am someone who returns quickly. Identity creates behavior. Behavior creates momentum. The more you see yourself as someone who always comes back, the more impossible it becomes to drift for long. Spiritually, every return strengthens your field. It signals resilience. It signals intention. It signals readiness. The universe responds not to perfection, but to persistence. Your consistent return communicates that you refuse to betray your purpose, even when your mind wanders, even when emotions rise, even when distractions seduce you. You always come back. And when you live this way, something powerful happens. Distraction loses its grip. Your mind sharpens. Your focus stabilizes. Your mission becomes the gravitational center of your life. Returning to your mission also teaches you how to navigate the modern world. Distractions are built into the culture. Infinite content, endless noise, constant stimulation. The world thrives on stealing your attention, but you can rise above it. You do not need to escape the modern world. You only need to master your relationship to it. When you build the habit of returning, your mission stops being something you occasionally work on and becomes something you orbit around. It becomes the place you come back to, the place you recharge in, the place you rebuild from. It becomes a spiritual home, and the more you return, the less you drift. So every time you catch yourself slipping, every time you scroll too long, every time you lose an hour to something that doesn't matter, don't spiral into frustration. Don't declare the day ruined. Don't abandon your goals. Just return. Return to your mission with strength. Return with clarity. Return with urgency. Return with pride, because returning itself is an act of discipline, an act of identity, an act of power. Your life will be shaped not by how often you drift, but by how quickly you come back. Conclusion. You are no longer behind. You are becoming unstoppable. There comes a moment in every transformation when you realize the truth. You were never trying to catch up to anyone else. You were catching up to the person you were always capable of becoming. And now, after the discipline, the self-confrontation, the uncomfortable growth, and the relentless commitment, you can no longer call yourself behind. You have stepped into forward motion. You have stepped into identity. You have stepped into power. The journey was never meant to be easy. It was meant to evolve you. Every challenge strengthened you. Every difficult choice sharpened you. Every moment of invisible progress prepared you. You weren't losing time. You were building capacity. And because of that, you can now move with a level of clarity and intensity that most people never reach. You know how to protect your energy. You know how to course correct quickly. You know how to act without waiting for permission. You know how to work with urgency, purpose, and depth. These are not small changes. These are the foundations of a new life. From here forward, you must continue the momentum. The gap between where you are and where you want to be will close faster than you expect. Not because life becomes easier, but because you have become someone stronger, sharper, and more disciplined. Someone who no longer drifts. Someone who no longer negotiates with excuses. Someone who decides, acts, adapts, and rises. Your future is no longer a distant vision. It is a direction you now move toward every day with intention. The world will begin to reflect the person you've become. The person who chooses progress over comfort, evolution over avoidance, urgency over delay. You are not behind anymore. You are becoming unstoppable. And this is only your beginning. Thank you for listening with an open mind and heart. If a certain chapter or insight resonated most with you, share it in the comments. You might help someone else find exactly what they need today. Keep this book saved so you can return to its words whenever life calls for reflection or guidance. I wish you health, peace, and wisdom in every step you take.